so much. Thanks so much, Chair, and our representative at the IACD from African region. Members, friends, delegates, greet you. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon from across geographical locations. I want to take this chance, this time to share with us briefly in the coming 1 hour or so, touching on community development and children. And so I believe we will get started in the next few minutes. Okay, I welcome all of us once again to the 24th IACD Sub-Saharan Africa Regional Webinar, today dated 8th of February. I am going to share with us on community development versus children. I've got a picture here, and if we had more time, we would have given us what you are able to see. A critical look at the picture, either from the aerial or from the side, you will be able to see what your eyes can see. But the point that comes to my mind is what we've been doing as change agents in the context of the Sustainable Development Goals, which revolve around 5 Ps. The P of people, the P of planet, the P of peace, prosperity, and partnerships. And all these are revolving eradication or reduction of poverty. The shanties or the shacks you're able to see is a classical example of poverty that is still affecting our people in the global south. And the people at the tail end of it and the middle end of it are children. Amidst all this, we can look and make another observation on those 2 children, because children are inherently innocent with different giftings and abilities, irrespective of geographical location, but given a chance, they can thrive and they can become somebody else. Again, if we had time, we would have discussed the picture, what you are seeing, but a quick look, you'll see one is the lead cyclist, and there is a passenger, and there is also a 2-wheel kind of bicycle, I call it, but it's all revolving around improvisation. The face of the children will tell you why we need more of us in giving children a chance to be who they want to become. Like the desire of these children, typically we can see they're longing to have a bicycle. That gives us the bigger picture. What is in the bigger picture? Statistically, about 1.2 billion children globally are living in poverty. And this is not something to be taken for granted, in that children are born innocent and might get trapped into poverty unless some interventions are done. So the UN members ratified the 17 SDGs, which was a product of MDGs, with again a clear roadmap to community development. And so we are not working in isolation. Even before the UN convened, us who are practitioners and change agents in diverse spheres, we've got our work cut out for us in a bid to give children a chance to realize their potential. Coming down, equally, the Africa Agenda 2063, has specific goals. And these goals are 20, with broad priorities which are linked to SDG, towards, again, reliable outcomes affecting children and poverty education or reduction. This met a bit of a nosedive when COVID-19 came. So the economic meltdown caused by COVID-19 pandemic resulted in, again, a 15% increase in households living under poverty around the world. Meaning work is getting bigger and bigger to be done in a bid to give children a chance to change the story. And when we look at the bigger picture, UN met after COVID-19, not that it's over, but after 2020. And with the clear work plan on suitable recovery from the pandemic, that we must work towards ensure a better future for all. COVID affected children, and again, on a larger scale, because even things like sharing face masks and the like, we may not get time to delve into such. But in the global south, about 41% of the population is living below the poverty. That is slightly under $2 a day. Sub-Saharan Africa has the highest rates of children living in extreme poverty at just under 50%. And majority of these people are children. We may be all aware as development practitioners that poverty is linked and associated with a lot of things, including but not limited to hunger, diseases, unemployment, violence, exploitation, where child labor will be put into unnecessary working conditions which are not necessary, ignorance, inequality, chances of non-schooling, and school dropouts, to mention but a few. All these things come packaged under a brand called poverty. And that's why it's incumbent upon us as community development practitioners to up our games and give children a future, an opportunity to face the future. So who are we? At Spurgeon Childcare Kenya, we are a faith-based charity, grassroots-driven change agents with tailor-made services, working with children, young people, and families in creating hope and building their futures. The keyword here is we are creating hope at the bottom, and at the vertical aspect, we are building the future of the children. So at Spurgeon's, we put children at the center of the circle, and we nurture the children holistically. This we do driven by our 7 ethos or core values. We are holistic, we are caring, we are responsive, we are hopeful, we are professionals. We set high standards and go for them. We are faithful and inclusive. With that, it's a point of reminder what a philosopher, Socrates, said, that the secret of change is to focus all of your energy not on fighting the old, but on building the new. And it's on this quote of Socrates that keep driving some of us, that how can we build on the new? And it reminds me again of the 5 P's that informed poverty issues at the SDG, about people and partnerships. So when we come together through partnerships and people, and we put people, in this case, children, we shall be able to change the conversation. So thank you. So that is a tip in an iceberg of what or who we are. And so there are gaps, interventions, and scope of interventions that we do as a local charity, targeting children, young people, and families living in informal settlements in Kenya. Now, we live in a world which is fragmented, but we are keen on making it better than we found it. We are intentional in reversing the inequalities that act as barriers towards the children and young people's hopes and dreams. So these include education, health, nutrition, food, social and physical infrastructure, advocacy, and talent mining of the children. So the gap which exists that requires charities and all development practitioners to be part of is the gap on education touching on children. And Kofi Annan, the former UN secretary, said this on June 2014, that education is the great equalizer of our time. It gives hope to the hopeless and creates chances for those without it. So again, on the SDG goal number 4, quality education is a work in progress in many countries in the global south due to over-enrollment leading to poor teacher-pupil ratio, poor infrastructure, learning materials, etc. And these are some of the gains that we must jealously guard as we give children a chance to become who they want to become. So in a small way, as Spurgeon, we plug in this gap at the age of the informal settlements of Kipera and Kisumu, Kondele, to cater for education for the orphans and vulnerable children. Through that, again, we give high school sponsorship to academic brain boxers, those who scored highly, and integrate them into public schools. The second gap we are trying to intervene is the gap of nutrition to enable children remain in school. So fully aware of the SDG goal number 2, which is aimed at eradicating hunger, a healthy diet in the lives of young children protects them from nutritional imbalances, malnutrition, malnourishment as chronic health conditions. For example, the diabetes, cancer, stroke, and so on and so forth. So this is where we give children some nutrition to make them fight those malnutrition and malnourishments. So feeding of learners, it's been proven beyond doubt that it improves the cognitive ability. It makes enrollments to be higher. It increases school retention. It reduces children's absenteeism from school, as well as gives learners strength to engage in other school clubs, which might make them also realize their potential. So that will expose children and nurture them in getting the hidden talents to be exposed. So again, with that, because we are empowering children and young people and families, so that those children who get to take home rations food basket as they go home to share with their members of the family, and support services. The third gap which exists is on health. Access to health, or rather good health in this case, remains an integral to the UN under SDG goal number 3, which emphasizes on good health. But on the ground, things are different. So as a charity, we also contribute this towards enhancement of health interventions in the lives of children. So a developing body granted the necessary food and nutrition will develop a foundation for a steady foundation free from stunted growth. The keyword is stunted growth, which has faced many children in the global south because they don't get balanced diet. They don't get adequate interventions in terms of health. So more of it, we do preventive and promotive health services on neglected tropical diseases, which still affect global south. Diseases like STA, social transmitted helminths. So we give children dewormers to prevent. We emphasize on hand wash. We do regular checks to make sure that problems affecting health are nipped in the bud. So in 2020, it's recorded that 5 million children died before 5 years, mostly from preventive and treatable diseases. Most maternal and child and adolescent health deaths and stillbirths are concentrated in the Sub-Saharan Africa and South Asia. And this is a report from the Protect the Progress 2022 on every woman, every child global strategy, which was produced in October 2022. The gap here is health on children, which is often quite ignored by either primary caregivers or by parents because of either ignorance. And that might make the education, might make the feeding to go south. So social infrastructure and physical support is another intervention. In a small scope within our ability, we're able to fill in this gap as we work with children, whereby peer counseling and one-on-one counselings, there's a kind of psychosocial support given to children and their primary family members helps a lot in lightening the burden. So the right to clothing is a right to many children, then is often, but this is quite ignored in most circumstances amongst the poor children. These are some of the physical support we give to children as they journey their growth. We offer school uniforms, shoes, and other second-hand clothes on the need basis at least once a year. That is shoes. And so the fifth gap is talent, mining, and promotion. We are fully aware that children are not equal, even adults. We are gifted differently. And so we give children a platform to identify their talents. And for example, the picture in the background, these are some of our children in Kibera, which is a hotbed of talents. So we expose children to the 8 smartnesses. We have always been socialized to focus on number smart and most of the time word smart, basically the bookwork. But we are talking of other smartnesses which have not been explored, like body smart, sports, music smart. Children can also be music, identify their talents, and also word smart. They can recite poems and the like. So these are some of the things we do with the children in talent, mining, and exposition. We identify, nurture all sorts of talents and give children a platform in which they can shine or make themselves to be a people in society. So other linkages and opportunities for unique talents we offer. And through that, a number of our children have gained ground, have gotten opportunity to travel abroad, and also gotten scholarships in even the top universities because of their talents, because we are not all equal. And the sixth gap, because of time, we will not share all of them, but we are strong voice of advocacy. We can listen to this song just briefly, and then we go. Yeah, I hope you listen to that song. That song, for those who are understanding Swahili, it's a wake-up call for us to stand up and do not allow other policymakers or those who have got the decision-making at the table to keep on suppressing the downtrodden. So we should not just stand, sit, and watch. It's our work as children's agency to be a voice to the voiceless, to stand up for children and the youth and encourage them to be engaged and be heard. And so that's why sitasimama maovu ya kitawala. I will not stand, I will not just sit and watch when evil prevails. So through advocacy, we do capacity building most of the time with children and family members on the rights of the children, child protection policies and the like, just to make children be empowered and be able to make decisions. So through the empowerment of children, they can understand their rights and make informed decisions and speak up on matters affecting them. So we work alongside young people to achieve a society built for all children, irrespective of their deformities, their disabilities, where they come from. And again, under advocacy, we do we do monitoring, evaluation, learning, and research. And through that, we go to the next. I'm almost done. Then we go, how can we, I want us with that to have a breakout session, and maybe we write this question down as we go under a tree, which is a typical African way of having a discussion of a matter of this magnitude. So I want us to choose, as I exit for a short time, to enable us have a short time of discussion on how can we in this case, the city practitioners and change agents, improve the children's visibility in our spaces of influence in Africa and beyond. So that's the question I want us to write down, and we'll break out, discuss, and come up with some of the ways in which you can increase the visibility.
Just in the interest of time and in view of the technical issues, we can just have the discussion go on in the plenary, and then we'll move on. Colleagues, sorry about the technical issues. What I would suggest is that I will open the floor to all of us, and we can give our comment. What is it that we can do to make it possible for children's voices to be heard in the spaces that we occupy? Take into account that children, most of the time, they don't have the kind of voice and energy, the muscle to claim some of the spaces that are available. What is it that we can do as duty bearers to make it possible for children? We can process this in the plenary. You can unmute yourself and just go. Yeah, Elizabeth is saying making deliberate to listen to children when we ask their opinions. That means a deliberate action for all of us to be able to make it possible for children. Kachi is talking about oh, I was reading Kachi's comment.
Her hand is up.
Okay, Catherine, you want to go?
Yes, thank you, Kenyanito, very much. I'm just thinking that in Kenya, a couple of years back, I think it was in the 1990s, the year 2000, we had what we called the Children Parliament. And it was very vibrant, the Children Parliament, where children brought out their own issues and with the government, to the government, and they really participated in speaking their voices. I wonder how many of the 47 counties in Kenya are still having the children parliament, and the representation of those children parliaments, and whether they are all inclusive in terms of the children coming from the those living in the households living below the poverty line, and those who are also up there who are privileged enough. So for me, what comes to my mind is bringing out the children parliaments again, not only in Kenya, but maybe also hearing what other countries are doing about ensuring the voices of the children are amplified by the children themselves. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Catherine. And again, it comes about to really creating deliberate spaces and where we give children the platform to be able to dictate, to determine the agenda of what needs to be put on the policy framework by those who really have been charged by society to take charge. And of course, Parliament is the epitome of where decisions are made, where legislation is made. And if we start already creating it, making it possible for children to get to that far, then that starts to make a difference. Thank you very much. Jim, you wanted to say something?
For rising children, yes, yeah, for please. Rising children visibility, if we organize socialization activities, we can identify their needs, and so we can address them.
Okay, thank you. Yeah,
thank you.
Creating our programs around the children's needs, and that means, of course, we need really to identify those needs and get to work on what is of importance, what is of priority to children. Thank you very much. Oscar?
Thank you so much, Daniel. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's a lovely presentation by Kenyanito there. I think very illuminating in terms of the approaches that we can exploit in increasingly having children participate in community development. In terms of spaces, I was thinking of the devolved governments in for example, in a situation in Kenya, and even other situations in Southern Sahara. The use of devolved governments to develop policy programs that are children friendly, I think is an area of advocacy that we can exploit as community development practitioners, so that in the budget making processes, annual development plans, program-based budgets, that we ensure that in the integrated programmings, we ensure children's voices are increasingly integrated in the planning documents. And so I just wanted to add my voice to the place of advocacy in policy formulation, particularly within the framework of devolved governments. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you, Oscar. Yeah, Onyekachi from Nigeria has put some stuff on the chat and talk about the place of culture, which remains a major barrier. Culture remains a major barrier to children's freedom of expression, where again, culture can silence children. And this again, we're talking about then being deliberate about it. Well, incidentally, that's what we are going to be discussing in the next edition. The 25th edition of our webinar series is on the place of culture and community development. And I hope some of these things will come out so that we can see how culture can be a facilitator or an inhibitor of everybody enjoying their spaces for development. And then, of course, the whole issue of advocacy for children is being brought in by Thato Masupa from the Southern African region, Lesotho, where again, we need really to create safe spaces for children. So that again, in as much as we love the children, we're also aware of areas where children again have challenges. Legislation becomes important. And then again, Linda, you're talking about making it possible for children to speak, making for, especially when they're in danger or when they have a challenge. And again, there we are. Yeah, who? Oh, Jim Robertson. Yeah, please.
Yes. Thanks very much for the presentation, most enlightening. It's just to say that many of these concerns which have been expressed are also pertinent in parts of the UK and in England, where it's considered that 40% of the young people in Northeast England are also living in poverty. And this is perhaps not assumed, but it's a value of having the the international seminar, but it does actually raise the wider issue, maybe, which we can deal with at a later thing we've mentioned before, Daniel, of the importance of community economic development being the driving force in these social kind of contexts, because it's quite impossible to get these ideas promoted for young people if we don't have at the top of the ladder, you might say, community economic developments. And there are a number of situations in the UK now where community wealth building has been taken on board by the political forces, and inside that it is possible to aspire to some of these ideas, because in the UK then resources and money for art developments have been reduced, resources for music developments have been reduced, and everything that's part of of your plan, which I totally agree with, is as difficult here as it is. And this is resulting in the UK of quite serious mental health concerns among young people, young adults. So young people are developing that ill health kind of context in terms of their own personal health. So thank you for the alerting us to these things.
Thank you very much, Jim. Of course, we need to also, as Jim indicates, to be aware of also the context, that children also live in different contexts, and different societies, of course, create different challenges for children and different needs for children. And so as you talk about the needs of children, then you also need to be aware of the contextual issues that inform
absolutely
those needs. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Okay. Any other observation?
Let me go back and wrap up my presentation. With those voices, the next thing I want to share with us after the, because I can't share my screen now, was to get the next steps.
Just go ahead with what you can.
Yeah, so under next steps, thank you for those various voices and opinions on how best we can add voices, speak children's agenda, ensure that there is visibility. But these are just what some of the next steps I'd put as I was looking through children and community development. One, that we must identify the challenges, use the identified assets, and with the help of established organizations, ensure that the community struggles being addressed are mitigated and are sustainable in the long-term plan. That is one of the things I would suggest as next steps. Looking at some of the next steps that we can get from this platform as we carry on with our role as community law practitioners in different spaces that we have been given. And one of the ways of next steps, I was saying that we must identify the challenges and use the identified assets. And then number two was to address societal and individual poverty, because poverty must be addressed, just like the SDG revolved around 5 P's on poverty. The P of people, and when we talk of people, we should not forget about children. When we talk of, again, the planet, and take care of the planet, let's talk of peace. When a child has got no food, has got no basics, there will be no peace in that child. When we talk about, again, prosperity, we cannot prosper with children left behind us. And so we need to engage them in decision-making platforms as soon as possible and with the much energy that we can give it. Then partnerships is very important. So we need to look into multitude of factors that perpetuate and excavate the cycle, especially in terms of their interdependence. So these factors are usually natural, sometimes they're social, sometimes they're economical, they could be political, psychological, cultural, and are seen in all societies and communities. And it's true that by this time we need to contextualize. So as we speak about all these things, we must understand what are the driving engines on each and every society, while there are those common threads that cut across every community, touching almost each and every child. So then one of the other next steps I would suggest as practitioners in this field, that we enhance the synergy. We continue working together. Again, the 5 P's of that partnerships. We can do a lot when we come together, but when you work in isolation, in silos, then we'll be irrelevant. So I would that we proceed with the synergy in working in helping disadvantaged communities and addressing poverty eradication, especially when it involves children. So you can be part of that mission and do something today in your capacity. You can donate your time. You can donate your advice. You can donate whatever you can donate within your spheres of influence and cycle to help in combating the inequalities and reversing all this.
We probably can, well, we just have like 10 minutes or 15 minutes to go. We probably can give, there's a point that Daniel has put on the wall about the next steps, but I think we can also ask, let's see, that Kenyanito makes a summary and shares a summary with the team that was online today.
Yes.
Because he has very strong points. The other bit is Daniel says that next in the series is culture and community development, and also about IACD at 70. I think members, that is for all of us to reflect on and to look forward to. Meanwhile, we will ask Kenyanito to share some information, some bit of the summary of these very important points that we had.
So as part of next steps, I would suggest, therefore, moving forward, we must identify the challenges, use the identified assets, and with the help of established organizations, ensure that the community struggles being addressed are mitigated and are sustainable in the long term. So then the next step, number 2, is to address societal and individual poverty. Poverty must be fought at the personal level and at the societal level. We need to look into the multitude of factors that perpetuate and excavate the cycle, especially in terms of their interdependence. These factors are usually natural, they're social, they're economical, they're political, they're psychological, and cultural and are seen in all societies and communities. This notwithstanding, we must contextualize our address in this societal poverty drive towards its eradication. Then the last one is that of synergy, partnerships, working together. We must avoid horizontal, working in isolation, but we must do a vertical, get to know what we can do, what one has on the side in order to help the disadvantaged communities and addressing poverty eradication, especially when it involves children, because they can't speak, we must speak for them. So you can be part of that mission and donate your time, donate your skills, donate your ideas, you donate your social capital towards this. And finally, the words of Charles Spurgeon, he said this: a good character is the best tombstone. Those who loved you and were helped by you will remember you when forget-me-nots have withered. Carve your name on hearts, not on bubbles, not on marble. Carve your name on hearts, not on marble. I want to encourage us that as we carry on working, those who are working with children, let us carve our name on hearts, not on marbles. Thank you. God bless you.